Welcome once again to the Ben Smith Coach Show here on the BCHS Spare Network. I'm your host, Gary Ownbey, as we continue our weekly discussions about Bradley Central High School wrestling. Being joined, of course, by head coach Ben Smith. And Coach, we always like to start. I'll let you introduce our special guest today.
Sure, yeah. I've got with me today two more seniors. We've got 4 or 5 starting seniors in our lineup. These are the final two. Easton Lipsey, he is a 2-time state medalist. He got 6th and 3rd, and then he just this weekend took over the number 1 slot at 126 pounds.
Wow.
And then I've got Wyatt James. He's number 3 ranked 120-pounder. And defending state medalist as well. So these are two of our heavy hitters, so to speak. In
the lightweight class.
In the lightweight classes, yeah, 120, 126 pounds. Training partners and best friends.
Okay.
So you get one, you get the other. So.
And I think earlier we had Easton's brother, Ethan, on.
Yes.
So let me ask, when you wrestle against Ethan, who comes out on top?
It's
Or on bottom, I guess.
Honestly, it's about 50-50.
Really?
Yeah.
You'll admit that.
But we don't go with each other anymore.
Oh, really? So you wrestle against him, his practice partner, you say, right?
Yeah.
So who comes out on top there?
Me. He don't score on me.
Yeah.
He don't score on that, right?
The last time that Ethan and Easton practiced in it was probably 10 or so days ago. They both have jiu-jitsu background. They're from Texas, and so they have a jiu-jitsu background. And so he is hitting a jiu-jitsu move on Ethan, and then Ethan starts punching him, and so that was the end of practice.
WWE.
Of their practice. All right, we're done. We're done practicing together. And their dad, he's their mom and dad are the pastors at South Cleveland Church of God, and they've asked me repeatedly, don't let them practice together. But I felt like we were at a point where we could do that.
The Lord doesn't want to see them fight.
The Lord doesn't want to see them fight. No.
Oh my goodness. Let's start down here. Why do you participate in other sports here at Bradley Central?
On and off, I have throughout the years, but I'll probably end up playing soccer this year. I enjoy that.
Like soccer. So, what position in soccer would you be? A defender,
I'd probably play
midfielder? Or?
I'd probably be a defender. Yeah.
Okay. How about you?
I haven't played any other sport besides wrestling, but I think I'm going to do soccer this year as well.
I'm sure Coach will mention we could have you both out there. Young athletic guys. What's your background? We'll start with you there. When did you first start wrestling? I mean, kids. Well, you came here from Texas, I guess.
Correct. Yeah.
My background was in jiu-jitsu. I lived in Texas, and I did jiu-jitsu since I was a baby. And then when I moved here, 6th grade I wrestled for like a week, but like 7th grade is when I started wrestling.
Where'd you start wrestling at here?
Lake Forest.
Okay. Coach Insminger there?
Coach Insminger.
Yeah. And what's your background? When did you start? You've been
I
around doing it a long time?
Yeah, I've lived in Cleveland for my whole life, and then I started in 6th grade is when I really got serious about it. I quit all other sports and did that through middle school.
So you got a Lake Forest, and your background's Lake Forest there too?
True.
Well, Truett, yeah, at the time, it's not
Yeah, I'll help you segue into it.
Okay.
But the our state finals lineup this weekend had 13 of the 14 starters were Lake Forest kids.
Really?
That's pretty impressive.
That tells me somebody at Lake Forest getting these guys
Doing a good
prepared
job.
before
He's doing a good job.
you get a hold of
Yeah.
them.
And the other one was an alumni's dad that moved back, Miguel Salinas Rincon. Had they lived here the entire time, he would have been a Lake Forest kid too, because they live in the Valley View community.
So Wyatt, I say 120, 126. Is it hard for you to maintain that weight to keep them going over, or to keep,
For me, not so much. Once after my body gets acclimated to all the activity, after a few practices, my metabolism keeps my weight down for the most part.
All right, let's pretend the season's over, which it will be in another month or so. What's your go-to food? What I think, boy, I wish I could sit down and eat every bit of this till I puke. What would that food be?
Man, I think the day after state, I think a few of us are going to go to CC's.
Yeah.
That's
Really?
the plan.
Yeah. Probably
And what's your
CC's.
go-to food?
CC's.
All right. Well, that's a pretty good place to go there. You can eat all you want there.
Yeah.
Coach, bring us up to date. What's happened since our last program? I know we went through the state tournament. Had a close battle with Cleveland High School, won another state title. Tip your cap to them. Had a good year. We had a good year.
Yeah. As far as dual season, it's over now. We had to wrestle tough to get there. We had to beat the number 5 ranked team in Blackman in sectionals to qualify. We talked about that last week, and then we weren't a defending state place winner as far as the top 4 because they didn't let us wrestle back last year. And we just, we were out of the pocket, but we got blind drawn in on the bottom side of the bracket. We wrestled Summit, the 3 seed. We talked about them last week. We'd had a previous win over them that came down to the last match, and we didn't really wrestle our best match against them. We did have our full 14 starters in, and the match was closed out 2 or 3 matches before the end, and we still didn't wrestle well. But we I hope Pete Miller doesn't take this the wrong way, but we didn't really think that we were going to lose to them. We did what we were supposed to do there. Didn't really wrestle well. We had a couple hours off, and then we wrestled the number 2 ranked and number 2 seed Wilson Central in the semifinals. And Wilson's kind of had our number the past couple years, but not on Saturday. So we had a great match against them. Wyatt had a really key win against a defending state medalist as well from Wilson Central. We call those swing matches. We can win them, they can win them type things. Wyatt had a big win against Wilson that helped us. And then Easton went 3-0 on the weekend. This was his debut at 126 pounds. We've descended him from 132 down to 126. Okay. And so he debuted there. Didn't really have much of a push against Summit, nor really against beat a pretty good kid from Wilson Central. But now that he's down at 126, he's the number 1 ranked kid in the state, and so that takes us to the finals. So we wrestled Cleveland in the finals. They did beating us 50-18 and then 42-23. Close the gap, and then they ended up beating us 34-28. It was tied going into the final match. And, we just ran out of firepower. I know Joey thinks he has the better team because that's what he said in the paper. But I'm not so sure that they were the better team that night. They wrestled outstanding. So like you said, tip of the cap to the Blue Raiders and Joey and his team. But the fact that our team wrestled the way that they did, I think deserves a little bit more recognition than you're unseeded. You beat the 2, you beat the 3, now you're in the finals. You take the 4-time defending state champions to the last match. Yeah. I think that deserves some credit. That's strong. Absolutely. Yeah, that's strong. So, we walked out of there with, I think, our 15th or 16th state runner-up trophy. I can't count at this point. But, it's with our other state runner-up trophy. It's a doorstop in our office, and we're just kind of hanging gear on it until we get our 27th state title here in a few weeks. I hear you there. Yeah. So just talk about that. What's coming up next, and when does that happen? Where does it happen? And, so Wyatt is the number 2 seed at 120 in the region this weekend, a Cleveland kid. And then Easton is the number 1 seed at 126 in this weekend's traditional, which is the individual tournament, the traditional region tournament. There's a defending state champion from Cleveland there that he beat in the finals. So there's actually 2 defending state champions that have come up from different weight classes that Easton is now ranked ahead of. But the region traditional is this weekend at Walker Valley. I think it starts around 9:30, 10 o'clock. Us, Cleveland, Walker, the rest of our region. Top 4 advance to sectionals at Oakland next weekend. Top 4 from sectionals, which is Region 3 and Region 4. Advance to a 16-man state bracket 2 weeks from now. So. Once the season's complete, and I don't want to end too quick, but do you encourage the guys that return? These are seniors, but do you encourage the guys that's coming back? Let's bulk you up, some move you up to a higher weight class, or do you want them to stay where they're at, or how do you do that? Coach Blackman and I have spent a lot of the last few weeks kind of already mapping out what our offseason looks like. We lose 4 or 5 starters. These 2 are obviously pretty good firepower. I mean, they're not irreplaceable, but they're not hard to replace. I mean, we've talked about our depth. We've got some good backups coming in. So, like, what we're looking at is we've got 4 or 5 spots to fill. I think 3 or 4 of them are already filled, and then 1 or 2 are going to be filled. But we have to have an active offseason, 100%. I've got some kids that need to stay, something that he didn't do. He needed to stay, but he got up to around 140, almost 150 pounds at one point, and now he's back down to 126. We've got some guys that we need to keep down, because they're like, he's grown. I mean, he's going to thicken out and he's going to develop into, not a young man, but a grown man. But and Wyatt, he's a local boy. Our families went to school. Like we graduated together. I graduated with his cousin. His mom was a year, or his aunt. His mom's a year older than me. Like we went to school together. Like Wyatt's maxed out. He ain't getting no taller. He's like me. He's going to grow out, yeah. But like. Where we're at with a few of our kids, and we're fairly young. 9 of our returning starters are going to be back, if not 10. That's good. And then we've got 2 more that, our Luke's fill in, Gunnar Taylor and Kyle Hogg, Ty Chris his fill in. got 20-something varsity matches this year. So we're going to get a lot of mat time this offseason.
Yeah,
we're
sure
going to
sounds
lift
like it.
and we're going to practice, but we need to compete. You can't learn to swim by running. You got to go swim.
That's right.
You can't learn to win matches if you don't go wrestle matches. So we're going to wrestle a lot this offseason. So if anything, this state title this past weekend, like it was great. We're super proud of what we did. Nobody thought we were supposed to do it, but we did. That's why we're disappointed. We knew we could do that. We knew we could win 7 matches. We know we can win 8 against them. Well, now we're in an individual tournament where you've got other teams helping us. Like, we want to win a state title, and you know if you read their faces right now, I mean, like we're not happy about it, and we're excited to get a couple more cracks at them, and by them we obviously mean Cleveland. So I mean there's no love lost there, especially with how things have been transpiring this week. It's always fun, the week following a state tournament. You hear about what happened in the stands, and you see what's posted on social media, and we're just kind of focusing on what we do and lowering our head, and we're going to work, and hopefully we'll quieten the crowd here in a few weeks.
Well, I hope you do there too. One final question before we wrap things up here: are you good shape health-wise?
As far as I know, I mean, when your weight cutters.
We had Belcher here; had come off a broken nose.
Yeah, he's other than being ugly, he's okay. He's not got hit since. This time of year, you always kind of worry about your weight cutters getting sick because their immune system's down and whatnot. But if they're maintaining and hydrating and eating right, and and our mat cleaning procedures are great. Like our kids we're friends with other teams, but we don't cohabitate a whole lot. Like we talk a lot about like control what you can control. And I think our guys, like this guy I know wants to win a state title extremely bad. This guy wants to be a multiple-time state medalist and a potential state champion. Like I trust them to do what they're supposed to do when I'm not around. Yeah. And they do that. Like I don't lose, unlike September, I don't lose sleep at night over these guys. So
That's good.
Yeah. So
that's a comfort to have them in your program there. But
they're great kids. I'm lucky to be their coach.
wish you the best of luck in the region, the upcoming state traditionals.
Yep.
And go get us some more state championship and medals, whatever we can get.
Individuals and team. That's what we're coming for.
We're going to wrap it up for now. We'll do this again next week.
Sounds good.
Coach Ben Smith, the head coach of Bradley Central Bear wrestling team for the boys and the girls, Bears and Bearettes, and a couple of seniors here, Wyatt James and Easton Lipsy, joining us on the program today. Coach, thank you, Coach. Thank you, guys. Good luck this weekend. Stay healthy. Until next time, we'll say God bless and go Bears and Bearettes.